And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100% agree. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Well, once again, we are back for a new edition of the Weighing In podcast. We have the real punk, Josh Thompson, coming at you live from San Jose, California. Podcast Dave is on the controls, and I am in my studio somewhere in the East. We are here to talk about all of the new fight cards coming up. We've got the UFC, Bellator, and ONE coming out on TNT, and somewhere near the end of the month, the PFL kind of squeezed their way in too. So we got a lot to talk about, Mr. Thompson.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We have
I like it.
Well, let's just jump right in. Let's do Bellator first, and then we'll do UFC, and then we'll do the ONE. We'll talk about Eddie and Demetrius, of course, and some of the comments going along with the Eddie situation, like people, some of the comments Eddie made about him being potentially
the best ever if he wins this. That's good. But for everybody that is a new subscriber to our podcast, we want to say thank you very much. And for everyone out there, there's that bell. Hit that bell, and that will inform you of when we drop the newest edition of the Weighing In podcast, and God knows you want to know that information.
Yeah, well, if anything, when you hit the thumbs up, that just puts us ahead of like Ariel and DC, and it lets them continuously reminds them that we are and still the champ. We are the GOAT.
And still.
If you guys are on Twitter, go through their pages and make sure you hit that hashtag and still and tag us in it. We will retweet it because we appreciate you guys.
And we like pushing buttons.
I want to let you guys know that it is getting under Ariel's skin so much that our fans are doing that to them that they've actually blocked podcast.
He blocked podcast Dave. That is so weak. What did you do, Dave?
Probably told the truth.
The truth. Probably told the truth.
That's all right.
Good stuff. Let's jump into the Bellator card first, and then we'll go right into the UFC, and we'll touch on the other ones.
Sounds good to me.
Ryan Bader versus Lyoto Machida, which is a rematch from when they fought a long time ago. And it didn't go Ryan Bader's way, as we all know. But Ryan Bader's a lot different fighter since then. And Lyoto Machida is Lyoto Machida is a lot older fighter since then as well. So there's a difference in terms of the speed which Lyoto had back then to the speed that we see now out of Lyoto. And Ryan Bader, I know coming off of a very bad performance against Nemkov, but him jumping in and trying to redeem another loss might be good for him against someone like Lyoto.
You got to figure that first fight, I did it, and it took place almost 10 years ago. I think it's probably 9 years ago now because it was in 2012 or so. So because that was Lyoto had lost his title, he had won against Randy Couture, and then he had a championship fight against John Jones and lost by guillotine choke. I think his next fight was Ryan Bader. And so you're looking, back then Ryan he wasn't as complete a fighter. He wasn't as confident a fighter. He didn't believe in his stand-up really. And when he was, squaring off against Lyoto, he got frustrated. He couldn't touch him. Every time that he went, tried to land shots, Lyoto was just, circling out, getting away, landing little tiny counters, and frustrating Ryan to the point where Ryan decided he's going to make these big lunges, and one of those ended up costing him the fight because he got countered and he got dropped, and that can happen to anyone. But like you said, they're at different positions in their careers right now. Lyoto has slowed down. There's no doubt about it, but he has changed the way he fights because he knows he's slower, and that's going to help Ryan in some ways, and it's going to hurt him because he's not facing the same guy, but he's going to be, I would tell you that Ryan Bader's the favorite in the fight, just based upon now where they're at and what they've done and the confidence factor. Even though Ryan is coming off of a loss, Lyoto, I think, is coming off of a loss also, but not as devastating since it wasn't a championship fight, but it's still a good match. It's a great rematch in my opinion because Lyoto is still that guy on a given night, man. He can beat anybody.
Yeah. He's just not a big 205 pounder. He's really
never was though.
Yeah, he never was. He should really be at 185, I believe. But he doesn't, at the age that he's at, he doesn't want to cut the weight anymore, which I can understand. And his speed will also translate, whatever speed he has left, will translate better at the higher weight and potentially get the knockout again. I just think that Ryan Bader's gotten so much better since they fought last. A lot better. Not only that, but just confidence is key in this sport, period. We've talked about that forever since we started this podcast, that if you're not a confident fighter, though, you won't have success. But the thing is Ryan Bader is, if it's not going his way, he tends to sometimes wilt under the pressure. And him coming off the way that he lost in Emkov, I want to know what his confidence is like. Lyoto Machida's been doing this. He's the same guy no matter what.
Yep.
He could have 15 losses in a row. He'd still fight the same damn way. He wouldn't, and his confidence would still, he still believes in himself. Ryan Bader's not that, he's not that guy. Ryan Bader has to be having success for him to feel like he's successful. As soon as he loses one or two, he's not the same fighter. He's got to get something to get it back on track. So their mindsets are completely different when it comes to fighting off of a loss. So it'll be interesting to see which Ryan Bader we see, the one that won two titles or the one that is coming off of a loss. You know, and
yeah, it's really a question of how much does the Nemkov fight affect him. If it doesn't affect him at all and he just takes it, puts it in the rearview mirror, it's done. I didn't perform well, and now I'm going to come out and fight the way I can fight. He's going to do great. If he goes in there worried about, I can't lose two in a row, you're just thinking that way, it's almost coming your way. It's going to happen. You can't think that way. It's just that one's in the past. I got a guy that I want to get a win against because he got one against me years ago. That's the way to just mentally enter the cage against Lyoto.
Yeah, I agree. It'll be interesting to see the rest of the fight card as well. So, I mean, like for me, the Liz Carmouche and Porto fight is good. The
Vanessa Porto's good.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, like Liz, though, she didn't have a great performance for her debut, but it was enough to get the job done. You know what I mean? Like she finished her in the third, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. And so, against Deanna Bennett.
Deanna Bennett.
Yeah. So, I mean, but she was struggling a little bit to hit the fight the ground. She was struggling a little bit on the feet, and she was struggling actually to kind of control the position as well from the top. So, but like every time you go to a new promotion, I've said this forever. It doesn't matter what promotion you go to. Your first fight's not the easiest. You know, they're probably paying you a little bit more money than you were at the other place, or there's just the expectation of you're coming to the promotion. They're expecting big things from you. And that's kind of where Liz was at. But I mean, like, I think that she will have some success. She's got to just continue to be who she is. Don't try to change anything. Don't try and do anything that's different from what you do. And she's never really seems like she has. You know, just stick with what you're good at. And she's good at punching her way into the clinch, getting the takedowns, and just tapping people out. So it'll be interesting to see how she does.
Well, she's super strong, but you got to figure that, Vanessa Porto coming in this, it's on a 4-fight win streak. That's going to give her some confidence. That's going to make her feel good about what she's been doing. So, and she's been in there against some of the very best, with people with a lot of experience. Vanessa Porto even fought Chris Cyborg. So she's been in there, she's fought Roxanne Modafferi, I believe, a couple of times. I think she's got a loss and a win to her, but overall, she's just a good all-around technical fighter, and she can fight on the ground. She can fight in the stand-up. So Liz, I think, is the physically more imposing fighter. I think she's just physically stronger, but sometimes that doesn't catch it. So it's going to be interesting. You got to figure even Porto's even got a win against Jermaine. So
wow,
been in there with tough people.
Yeah. Jerry Kennedy and Adam Borch.
I think that's a great fight, man. But it can end up being one of those becomes so technical because they're being so careful with each other that it just doesn't play out the way you want it to. But man, Jeremy Kennedy he's two different guys at times. He's this controlling fighter at times, and sometimes he's this explosive guy that just does these beautiful Superman punch into a flying knee, into a takedown, great positioning on the ground. I hope that's the guy we get to see because he is good. He is a stud fighter, and Adam Borch is a stud fighter. I mean, their records are almost the same.
16-2, 16-1.
Okay, look at that. Come on.
My thing with Adam Borch is that he needs to have a little bit more output. His last couple of performances, the Darian Caldwell one, he seemed almost like, and I've criticized a lot of our Bellator fighters. Sometimes they start reading their own paper clippings. Gotta stop. And Adam, I think, was feeding into it. You had him doing videos with Michael Chandler lifting and grappling and training and all this other stuff, and Michael pumping him up and stuff. And then it kind of got out there to Darian Caldwell, got taken down and just got choked. Like in these type of positions, like just keep on track with what you're doing. But he needs to have a little bit more output. I know he's a very good fighter. Everyone's talked about him over at Sanford MMA. They're like, dude, he's so damn good. Some guys don't even really like to work with him because he's so technical. He's so good. But it doesn't translate as well in the cage when you're watching him live. I want to see more. I want to see all the skills. That's the number one thing I think that, like, when I took away from my career, I was like, there was times where I fought people that, I was better than, but I just didn't do enough,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, gosh, you go back and you look, and all you had to do was just have more output, and you would have won a more convincing fight versus going to a decision. And I think with Adam, he's that guy. I think he's so talented, but he's such a technician that he's like counting strikes in his head as he's fighting, probably. Like, boom, boom, okay, I hit him with a good 1-2. I'm up now. Okay, hit him with a leg kick, 1-2 again. Okay, I'm up now. Like, he's counting. I feel like he is so methodical.
Can't do that.
He does. He's just counting all the times he's landing strikes. I'm up on the judge's card. I'm up on the judge's card. Or, oh, I'm down. I got to fight a little bit harder. Or that didn't look good. I know he's in his own mind. He just seems like somebody that is just doing that over and over in the fight. And so instead of just fighting off of his instincts and his natural ability, which he has, he's extremely good. You can just see by the way he moves and all the tools and the weapons he brings. I want to just see him let it go. And so he's only got one loss in all of his combat sports: kickboxing, boxing, and MMA.
Yeah, but that one loss is exactly what you're talking about. I think it put a chink in the armor. It put a dent in his confidence.
Yeah.
That loss to Darian Caldwell, it affected him mentally, and he came back. That fight he had with Mike Hamill, who we just watched, Mike Hamill came after him. Now, he fought a really good fight, but it was a split decision. There was a judge that went with Mike Hamill. I thought that Adam Borch won the fight, but, his next fight was against Eric Sanchez, and he did not perform the way he should have performed in that fight. That's what you're talking about. And that's part of that, your confidence. You got to get it back. You got to get back to being the guy that was doing all of these beautiful things inside of the cage, the flying knees, the setups, the way that he was moving himself in and out and connecting and getting out. Someone's throwing a counter and it's missing, and he's coming back with a beautiful right hand. That's what we were looking at going, this dude's special.
Yeah.
He gets it. So he's got to get that confidence factor back to where it was before the Darian Caldwell loss. He gets back to that guy, he's going to be hard for people to beat.
Yeah, I think everybody has high expectations for him. He just got to get back on track like you're talking about. So we'll see. Kat Zingano making her return against Olivia Parker. I mean, Kat's just got to get out of her own way. If she can get out of her
There you go.
she can do it. Look, I want to make sure everyone understands that when we do our show, I want to be very upfront about, look, sure, I am a little bit of a homer for the Bellator people and the Bellator fighters, but I'm also going to be very critical of them as well, in terms of what they got to do to make sure that they perform at a level that we know that they all can perform. If Kat Zingano gets out of her own way and she's in shape, and she comes in and has the confidence that we all know she can possess, then I think that she can have a successful night. But can she do that? It's hard. It's hard to go to a new promotion, new expectations, all those things. And I'm sure there's a bump in pay and all the things, that Bellator's done to get her there. And those are expectations that you put on yourself as well when a promotion is taking a chance on you and bringing you in. So it just adds to it, and as long as she has the confidence and displays the confidence in the cage, I think she can pull this out.
It just goes back to that confidence factor, because you go back and you look at Kat. Kat was undefeated, as a professional, going all the way up. Her last win before the loss, it was against Amanda Nunes. Go back and, that fight, Amanda was doing, a good job against Kat, and Kat turned it around and ground and pounded her. It was either the second or the third round, but I'm thinking it was the third round, to the point where Amanda was just, exhausted and couldn't take any more, and the referee stopped the fight. But her next fight, was the Ronda Rousey fight.
Yeah.
And that was a fight that she lost in 14 seconds. Then all of a sudden, bad things just start rolling that way. She got injured. She had some health issues. She lost to Juliana Pena, and then all of her losses have been, in that period where it's a confidence issue. Yeah. It really is. It's everything, that has happened with her and everything. She just needs to be who she is because, man, her grappling, her takedowns, her wrestling, she's a stud, man. She has got beautiful positioning. She's slick with inside and outside trips. She does a beautiful head and arm toss. She, shoots a double or shoots a single. She changes levels well. She does it all really well. It's just a matter she's got to have that confidence. Now, her last opponent was, Holloway, who is a person no one gets rid of, and she didn't get rid of her. And in a certain part of the fight, that caused her a problem because she actually got mounted in that fight, but she worked her way through it. And that in some ways I look and I think that's a good thing. It's a good thing that she had to struggle. It's a good thing that she had to, bite down and grit her way through a section of the fight and then come back and take the fight, which she did, which I think helps her confidence. This is a good fight for her to take that next step. Olivia Parker, what?
For 3 minutes in that fight, she was mounted.
Yeah.
Mounted for a long time during that fight. I remember that.
Yeah. And that's confidence wise. It's how do I get out of this? And do I start to make mistakes that get me in worse trouble? So the Olivia Parker fight, it's a good fight. Olivia Parker in her last fight, I think lost her last fight. It was an Invicta. I watched it and, she lost. She made a big mistake. Her back got taken and she got choked out. So she can't make that same mistake against Kat. She makes the same, error that she made. She didn't learn from it. She's going to get choked out by Kat Zingano. So she needs to come out and perform.
Yeah. All right. Well, Yoshiyamauchi versus Dan Moret.
Goichi.
Yeah, Goichi
Yamauchi. I love it, dude. He's good. His submission game is Dan Moret fought in the UFC. He's fought, for a while. He's good. His grappling is good. His wrestling is good. His submission game is good. He's got a belief in his submission game that no one can submit him. He might be facing the guy that can do that.
Well, he fought Gilbert Burns.
Yeah, he got knocked out by Gilbert.
Yeah. Maybe no one can submit him.
We will find out because if that's I don't see Goichi. Goichi's got this very kind of Lyoto-like style. If you think about it in the stand-up, he's got that karate, stance kind of thing. And he's really deceiving on his feet. But man, when he hits the ground and you can look at some of the guys that he has submitted, you go, I know that guy knows what he's doing. I know how good that guy is, and
yeah, he's good all the way around. I didn't start noticing how good he was until he fought Adam Piccolotti. And I've seen Adam train with a lot of top black belts and just included all the guys at AK and a lot of people have fits with him. And Yamauchi made it look easy. He got to his back from the standing position and was able just to put the hooks in and finish. And I was like, wow, this is impressive. He slowly, systematically just got to the back.
It just takes inches.
Yes. And I was yelling at him like, clear the foot out. He's like, I'm good. And 2 seconds happened. I'm like, yeah, not so good. It's those positions, you can't in a fight. It's different than training. You got to always be ready for somebody that's you don't know what their game is.
Yeah.
You've got to expect the unexpected, and I don't think he realized how strong he was and how much control he had, and his positioning was fantastic.
Yep.
The fight that I'm really looking forward to though is the next one: Dalton Rasta and Tony Johnson.
Oh, that's a good one. Tony Johnson, he is a tough dude. He's from the AKA.
Yep.
I'm not sure. Is he still training there? I'm not sure, but
well, they're kind of doing I think they're training at DC's place, or they're training down at a gym down south a little bit more, and they're getting some work in there. AKA's been kind of closed. I think they're finally starting to reopen. I think this week they're going to go, but I mean, there was talks that they may just had shut it down had this thing went any further. The shutdowns here in California, and so. Now I think they're allowed to open at 25% capacity, and everyone's still got to train with masks on. But I think the fighter training is just locked off and separate. I don't know how you're gonna train MMA with masks on.
It's a little tough.
Yeah, it can be a little rough sometimes. Just wear has the chin strap, so it looks like you're wearing a mask. I don't know.
You're right though. This is a great matchup. The real question is, Dalton Rasta has an amateur background, Golden Gloves in boxing and stuff like that. He likes to stand up, but he's got an outstanding wrestling game and he's got a good submission game. Tony on the feet is tough as hell. He doesn't want to go to the ground with Rasta. He ends up on the ground with Rasta. It's not going well for him.
Yeah, I understand that. He's gotten so much better though at stuffing takedowns. Now I don't know if he can stuff one early. I can see him having success on the feet. I think Tony Johnson's the better boxer, even though Dalton Rasta maybe has some Golden Gloves, whatever. Okay, I get it, but I mean,
Tony Johnson's good. He's got power.
He's got some power. He lands right on the button. He likes to work the body, and we know Dalton Rasta gets tired. If he can hit the rod, if he can get to the body, I think he can slow Dalton Rasta down.
I'm gonna put a halt on that. We know Dalton Rasta gets tired. He did, and now that he's been at ATT, he has not. So things have changed for him. And you're training with people that a little bit better, a little bit more understanding of things. He went that 3 rounds in his last fight. Who's his last fight? Ty Werder, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
he didn't fight at a very fast pace there, John.
I didn't say it was the fastest pace, but he didn't get tired.
No, I understand what you're saying. He didn't get tired, but he also didn't have a lot of output, though. Neither one of them did. Remember, Ty Werder just stood in the center and didn't really do a whole lot until the third when he realized he was behind. He started trying to come after him. Look, I think if Tony can get to the body, but the problem is Dalton Ross he's not a super tall guy. What is he, 5'11", 6 foot?
Yeah.
So, I mean, Tony's going to have to reach down a little bit to hit to the body. I mean, Tony doesn't seem tall, but he's got a little bit of a longer and lanky body style, 6'2". So, I mean, overall, though, are they fighting at 170 or 185?
No, 185.
Because I don't think that Tony Johnson's been at 170 since
he has a better 170 forever.
The longest time. So, yeah, this should, to me, it's going to be a good fight. Will Dalton Ross try to stand? If he does, I think he's going to be in trouble. And how much can Tony Johnson make him work for the takedowns? That's the other part. So that'll open up the boxing. Tony's got to be careful throwing some kicks. He's been working some kicks and stuff as well, but I don't know how much he's going to utilize them, though. He's fallen in love with his power in his hands. So, but, we'll see. I think the card is good. Cody Law is a young, up-and-coming guy. Everyone's talked about him. He's out of ATT. Even,
Dan Lambert.
Yeah, Dan Lambert had stopped us and said, he's really the best guy we have in the gym that's up-and-coming, not the best guy in the gym.
Yeah.
I'll make sure I'm clear on that.
He's our best up-and-comer.
Our best up-and-comer. So, that was good. I like to hear that as well. And that made me feel good. When I started watching, I was like, oh, wow, he does a lot of good things. And so there were some good things he had seen him done in his last 2 fights. And, and for him to have his pro debut in Bellator, that said a lot about how much clout is around him and how much people are looking to see him fight.
Yep, it does.
As far as the rest of the card, I mean, we're going to, play it out and see what happens. But I think honestly, those top 5 fights are the ones that you really are going to want to see. And I would enjoy watching.
Also, Caspel and
Lugo.
Jornel Lugo. Jornel Lugo's good.
Caspel's just durable.
Yeah, he's got good wrestling. He's got a good submission game. He's tall and long for the division. But Jornel Lugo, man, he moves. He moves so well inside of the cage. His footwork is outstanding. He throws in combinations. He's good. Yeah. That's going to be a tough fight for Cass.
Oh, well, John, where do you put this card? Last week's card was good. For Bellator, yeah. Last week's card was good. Next week's card is good. But the May 7th card now, because a lot of people, so that's what people understand. This card had a lot of good fights on it originally, and then we had some COVID situations, and so they bumped some of those fights over to the May 7th card to give people time to heal, or not heal, but get healthy and see how they're feeling before their fight. So that May 7th card is stacked now.
I know, I love it.
Tons and tons of fights. Man, I mean, you've got Juan Archuleta, Sergio Pettis, Anthony Johnson, Joel Romero, Patchy Mix, James Gallagher, Logan Storley, Achilles Mota, Patricky for Peter Quealy. That card is stacked. Stotts and Hill.
Dude, Stotts and Hill. Then you got Johnny Eblin against Daniel Madrid.
Jeez,
Henry Corrales versus Keith Lee. come on. That thing is stacked. It's awesome.
Weber, Almeida, and Soto, though. Like, you've got all these cards and all these fights on here. I'm like, bro, you guys could have shared the wealth a little bit to some of the stacks from the top to bottom.
Yeah.
Damn. Anyways, hey, I'm pumped for that card. Yeah. That's going to be a bomb card. But this card kind of got lightened up a little bit because we had some of them, just some people got
Still a good card.
It's still a good card.
It's still got some good matchups.
Yeah.
It's all about, it comes down to this, Josh. As a fighter, do you go out and perform?
Yeah.
Do you go out to put on a show? Do you go out to impress and not worry about taking chances? Or do you go out trying to say, I don't want to make a mistake? That's the difference.
Yeah. I don't know.
Excuse me, did you just yawn? That's a drink.
I'm lack of oxygen. My brain. I'm just pumped for all these fighters because, like I was trying to talk about on the broadcast on Friday, is a lot of my success came on the Showtime network.
Yeah.
And so it just was people not realizing that this is your opportunity. You have a home now. You are on a big platform, and the potential of like, hey, you should be wanting to impress them so much that for when we do have an opportunity to go to CBS, big time CBS, that you're one of the fighters that they put on that card. And that's the thing. Like, because look, if you're not in that conversation of excitement, then you're not going to make that card. And that's like that's where your sponsors, that's when you start making another 10, 15 grand in sponsors. I mean, when I was on Showtime, I was killing it in terms of money wise and sponsors. I mean, I know that we've set back from that now a little bit, it's not what it used to be. But I think it can get back. I think it can get back, especially now after the 2020 year that we had. Right now, companies, they allot a certain amount of money for their sponsors and for their marketing. And they're going to have to use that money sometime around September, October. Otherwise they got to pay tax on whatever they have left in the bank. Yep. And so they're going to look to push it all out there because to be real, it's relatively unknown. Like, people don't know how much further they're going to go with this thing and dragging it on. So sometime around the end of summer, when things start hopefully officially opening, everything start fully opening back up, companies are going to be like, okay, look, let's start jumping right into our marketing dollars to start pumping our businesses back up. So they're going to look to spend money on a lot of places that they didn't before over the last year. So I think that it's going to be good for these fighters. They need to understand this is their opportunity and their chance to go out there and perform. And you only get one chance to make that impression, that first impression on a network to new fans. These are all new people, but just imagine that these are all new people. I mean, how many people did we get in our comment section, John, talking about, I'm only here to watch Bellator because
of you. So it better be good.
Better be good. And we didn't disappoint. We didn't disappoint. Bellator did. I shouldn't say we. Bellator did.
We had nothing to do with it.
The athletes didn't disappoint. What are you talking about? We did great on the broadcast. Okay, you better talk like that. Okay, John, you better give us some credit. We did wonderful.
Shut your mouth. Right?
As Rogan would say, you shut your whore mouth.
Shut your whore mouth.
I love it. It's one of my favorite lines. Oh man. You shut your mouth talking to me. That and listen louder. Oh, that's the greatest one. Dave just got it.
It's so ridiculous.
Yes.
How freaking ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. You just.
That was good, Dave. That was a good input right there. Ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say some things, not just to say this
gibberish.
against them.
Okay.
All right. Well, hey, I mean, it won't be the best card out of the four that we asked.
It might be. Just like we talk about other cards when, you look, you go, doesn't seem like it's going to be the best one. It might end up being the very best one.
Yeah, it might be a sleeper good one.
There you go.
There's some good fights in there, the Moret and Yamauchi fight.
That's a great fight.
The Jeremy Kennedy and Adam Boric and the Dalton Rasta and Tony Johnson, I think, are the two. And you're saying Caspel and Lugo. Those three fights on the undercard could steal the show a little bit,
Yep.
What fights to keep an eye out. So if you guys want to tune in on Friday night to Showtime, check it out and see if we were right in terms of which fights may steal the night.
So is this one not free on YouTube like the last
This one is not free on YouTube. This one is not free.
$4.99, I believe.
$4.99, I believe, is what it is. So check it out. We had a lot of people in our comments say they bought Showtime because the show was so good. So I feel happy.
I'm being honest. And I'm not being a homer. I don't watch much TV,
Yes.
but there's certain programs I would watch. I love Shameless. It's on Showtime. It's one of the greatest shows ever, man. You got to watch it.
Oh, you.
Billions is outstanding. It's good too. So they got good stuff to watch. And then if you like boxing, you got show boxing too. So that's good.
What's Billions about? Because everybody I talk to says that they really love that show.
It's about an investor, a guy named Bobby Axelrod, who he's a billionaire and he's ruthless. He will destroy you to get where he wants to get, but he's sometimes good to people and stuff like that. But he's dirty at times too. So it's all about him. And then this ends up being a district attorney, a federal attorney, and trying to get after him. And he's dirty as hell too anyway, so he's no better. But it's good. It really is. The characters are great.
I'm foaming at the mouth to watch it now. I got it. I love it.
If you want to get your $5 worth, though, you got to watch Dexter. Have you seen Dexter?
Oh, Dexter was great, man.
I've never seen Dexter.
Are you kidding, man? A serial killer that only kills other serial killers. It's awesome. It was really good.
I have never seen Seinfeld.
I know, you kill me with that. I did introduce you to Master of your Domain, though.
And then the only one that I've watched a couple. Don't get me wrong, but the one that I remember the most is the Soup Nazi.
Oh, it's funny.
And then the Master of Your Domain was pretty good because the Kramer, when he walked out of the room, and he's like,
"I'm out."
No, fucking great. It was awesome. Yeah, but then I haven't seen Sons of Anarchy. I haven't seen any Seinfeld. I haven't seen. I've never seen Dexter.
See, all those, every one of them is when I was sitting in airports or on planes. That's when I would watch.
Interesting. And then Billions.
They didn't have iPads in the 70s, though, John.
Oh man, listen to you.
What a jerk! Yeah. I love it.
I would actually be offended if I could understand what the hell you said.
Yeah. If they didn't have iPads in this one. Oh man. All right. Well, hey, let's talk about the UFC. Let's jump right into this as well.
Let's do it. Marvin Vettori against Kevin Holland. That's a good fight, I think. But I think right now Marvin Vettori, he has stepped up. He has gotten way better. His performance against Jack Hermansson was really just outstanding, I thought. Because he was winning it. Hermansson was coming on in the third round, and he lost it. And it was about that fourth round, and he was starting to lose that one, and he turned it on. He switched it around, and he took that round, and then took the fifth round. He's a good fighter. He has improved so much under Rafael Cordero in King's MMA. Everything about his game is better, and he's a handful. And if Kevin Holland decides he wants to talk during this fight, it's going to be a bad mistake. He just needs to get busy and get after him.
Do you remember the fight with Lyoto Machida and Rashad Evans?
Yeah.
You remember right before Rashad lost, how he was kind of talking to Lyoto as he's getting hit and clipped? I just imagine things like that for Kevin Holland.
Yeah.
Just completely, just kept talking, was kind of shaking it off, while that was all happening. And this could end up being something like that. And that was one of the most, nasty knockouts.
Oh, it was a nasty knockout. Because that was one that people actually got to see what happens to a fighter, and sometimes their eyes, what they do.
They must not have been around when Carl Uno lost to BJ Penn.
That was another one.
That was a nasty one.
There's been a lot.
One eye's looking this way, one eye's looking that way, and looked half asleep, half awake. That was bad. Overall, though, look, Kevin Holland with the reach, the length, all the things that he needs to just touch him and stick and move and stay on the outside, as long as he can stay off his back, I think he can win. If he can stay off his back, keep his back off the fence, take the center of the cage, and just snap the jab, he just fight at a distance, I think he beats him. But I don't think he can do that.
I don't think he's going to.
I don't think so.
And I like Kevin. I think he's fun to watch. It's just right now with what I saw out of his last fight, nothing tells me that fight is something that's going to change in this one. His mentality and the way he's going about the fights needs to change. It's okay to have fun. It's okay to talk. That doesn't bother me in the least. But if you're talking instead of fighting, there's a problem.
What's going through the UFC's mind right now, giving him another main event after what just happened?
That's the one, especially after Dana made his comments about mental breakdown and stuff. You look and you go, wow, and you're going to put him in another main event. They lost their guy. And so they needed somebody, and he stepped up and said, I'll take it. And they went, all right, let's do it. And
Dana,
just,
call Big Mouth, see if he wants to take the fight.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, but I think there was a stern conversation. Like, look, we don't mind.
There had to be.
Then, right? Like, hey, we don't mind giving you this opportunity, but you need to fight. Okay, we're all cool shenanigans, whatever, but you need to fight.
Yeah, I can't have you doing what you did in that Brunson fight. It didn't look good for you. It didn't look good for us. And I just, you have the talent to go out there and be a great fighter. You've already proven that. So just go do that.
Well, for me, Vettori doesn't get any closer to a title shot, though, if he beats Holland.
Yeah, but Vettori's stuck. He was stuck. What's he going to do?
Say no. I get it. He's already put it in the whole camp, and he's fighting some on short notice.
Yep.
Style of fight, though, too, which is kind of, shitty. I think with Darren Till, he could have stood, basically stood toe-to-toe with him.
Well, he knew.
But with Holland, just why even stand there toe-to-toe with him? You're longer than me. You got a longer jab. You're probably faster than me. I mean, he's going to have to wrestle. That you got to go through a training camp preparing your body to wrestle a little bit or mixing it up more. I don't think he was going to do that with Till. I think he was going to stand with Till and make it a dogfight.
I don't know. I was thinking he was going to try to take Till off his feet.
Think so?
Sure. Everyone that does has had success. So.
Well, I mean, we talked a little bit about this card the other day. For me, the other fight that I'm really interested in on this card is, I know you like the Allen Youssef fight.
I love Arnold Allen.
Okay, let's talk on that real quick because I'm going to get into the Mackenzie Dern, which everybody else wants to talk about. Yeah, buddy. Go ahead.
Wow, the Arnold Allen, no one gives respect to this guy. I don't get it, man. He's 16-1. He is good, man. I mean, he's good everywhere. You take a look at his fights, and he's beaten a lot of big names. Some guys that, are, like Gil, he beat Gil Melendez. And, Gil's getting towards the end of his career when he did and stuff. But he's got wins over Mads Burnell, who I think is a fun fighter to watch and everything. He hasn't had a loss in, so long. He has come into the UFC, and he has remained undefeated his entire time there. So he's good, man. And he's fighting a really tough, athletic, fast fighter in, Youssef, but I just don't think that Sadiq gets it done against Allen. There's something about that guy. I don't think he does. I think Arnold Allen wins the fight.
How? Takes him down?
How?
Yeah.
He's got it all kinds of ways, man. He's good everywhere, and that's the real question. He doesn't have to work at getting him down. That's not his way of doing it. He gets you down by just continuing to put pressure on you, blasting you with shots, good movement, making you miss. And then, one of the shots is going to end up putting you down, and then he's on top of you, and then he's beating the shit out of you in the top position. That's how he wins.
You know how fast Youssef is?
Yeah, I do. He's athletic, but I've watched him get tired too.
But speed, though, will sometimes make people hesitant on just putting pressure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the speed, Youssef's got to make sure that he's using his speed early and often and without getting himself tired. But he's got to remind him with a couple big power shots in there and use the speed. Catch him flinching, make him, hesitant to just jump in. Because as we saw, or as we were talking about with Ryan Bader and Lyoto Machida, the speed plays a huge factor when you get frustrated. Will Arnold will he get frustrated? And so
we'll see.
That's the question.
It's a good matchup. Either guy can win it. It's both are quality fighters, so it's going to be a neat fight to watch. I think. Great. I think that's co-main, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what else is a neat fight? Mackenzie Dern and Nina Ansaroff.
It is. We talked about it. I think that's a great fight. And from what I've seen of Mackenzie and what she is doing in the gym, man, she looks good. And no one, I don't care who it is, there's no fighter in the 125-pound division that goes, I want to go to the ground with Mackenzie Dern.
No.
You're crazy if you do.
No,
She's
not
just that talented. She's done it her entire life.
top level jiu-jitsu. People don't even want to go to the ground with her.
No.
So, yeah, absolutely not. That's the thing. When you're fighting somebody like a Mackenzie Dern, you know that your style has to be stick and move. Never plant your feet in front of them, because if there's one opportunity to get a takedown, it could be over that quick.
Keep your back off the fence.
Yeah. You don't want to be in the clinch at all, because it doesn't matter. Like if they just drop down on a leg, or if they, they snatch the leg and then drop down on it from there, it doesn't matter. It can be any way that they want to try leg scissor takedown. They can just do anything they want, because they know you're not going to jump on top of them. You know what I mean? Majority of the time, like you go with someone like, I remember that's how it was with Jacare when he first came into Strikeforce. Everyone's like, oh man, like I might get in that guy's guard. People like, it didn't matter what Jacare did. Like if your ground game's that good, people are like, man, I don't care. Like I'm staying away from you, even if you fall down, you slip and throw. Schember used to throw head kicks all the time.
Yeah.
Even if he fell down, he knew that no one would jump into his guard. When he was fighting in Pride, and I get the same vibe and the feeling with Mackenzie Dern. These girls are afraid. They're afraid to jump into her guard. They don't want to try, and they know they'll probably get finished from that, or they'll get swept, and then they'll get mounted, and then they'll get armbarred, or they'll just get their head ripped off. Yeah, she's good.
Yeah, I mean, but when you take a, and you look at, I'm trying to think of who was it wasn't Mackenzie's last fight. It was she had an armbar finish. I'm trying to
Ronda Marcos.
Oh, Ronda Marcos. That was exactly who it was. Man, you go back and take a look at that armbar and the way that she manipulated it, how she changed the angle of it, just everything. And that's what tells you, God damn, she's light years ahead of everyone in that division on the ground. Yeah. She's that good.
Is it the one she tucked in her armpit?
Yep.
Yeah, she's good, man.
Yeah.
She is good. She's a good grappler. You mess around a little bit too long and you can end up going to the hospital.
Yep. That's danger. Danger, young Robinson. Danger.
That's nasty. That's how I want to do the podcast, Dave. And then did she finish that with the foot in?
Oh, she finished that one. She just had the one foot across the head, and the other one was kind of flailing in between the legs, I think. And she just stuck it behind her arm, and
oh man,
she was a stud.
Oh, those little hammer fists to the face too. I would do that to podcast day. And from there I'd hit him in the belly, also just to let him remind him. Yeah, she's good, man. She is. And then I do like a lot of the work that she's doing over at Ruka Sports in the gym there with Perillo.
Jason Perillo, yeah.
Yeah, she's doing a great job. She's been getting a lot of work in. I talked to
well, it's funny, it's both of them. Because this is Nina's fight back from having her daughter. And so she hasn't fought since 2019 or so. And Mackenzie has a baby too. So these two moms fighting. It's awesome.
But here's the thing: when Mackenzie came into the UFC, I honestly was like, she's not taking this shit serious.
No, I thought the same thing too.
Things, and then she got. I think it's almost as soon as she got pregnant and had a baby, it was like, oh wow, I have to take care of somebody else. Let me get focused for a second. And it was great.
It might have been that loss, Amanda Hebus.
Against Amanda Hebus.
Where she was unable to get her to the ground for most of it, and it was just not her night. And then it's like, I got to learn how to be, at least effective in the stand-up. And she's not only become effective, she's become damn good.
Got it.
She's attacking.
There's one thing that's kind of throwing me off a little bit is that we haven't heard one iota of Mike Perry from this card. Heard anything about him, which just kind of scares me. There's no hype around it. There's who's in his corner? That's one thing I want to know. Are you making more question? Mike Perry, you making a little extra cash? Come on, buddy. I still want my percentage, bud. 20%. I'll take 10 though, just because. And he's having a baby, right?
Yeah, his girlfriend was pregnant.
He's having a baby. Huh?
I think he did.
Oh, he did.
He did have the baby.
Maybe.
His girlfriend did have the baby.
Well, tip my hat to him, buddy. Hopefully he has a good performance, gets a win. Oh, yep, there it is.
There you go.
There you go.
See?
Congratulations, Mike Perry.
Yep.
Some good stuff. Good. I mean, like I said, we haven't heard anything about him, so probably since the other baby, he probably got no sleep.
That's because he's busy now.
Yeah.
No time to screw around. What about Sam Alvey and Julian, the Cuban Missile Crisis Marquez, Mr. Hannah Montana?
I love me some Sam Alvey, man. I love guys that have that type of personality and smile.
He's such a good guy.
Around. First time I saw him fight was in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I think that was the same night Lando Venado
against Tony Ferguson.
I was sitting cage-side. I wasn't sitting the whole fight because it was such a damn good fight. Yeah, that was such a good fight. Yeah, I was good, man. And then I saw him fight that night as well. He was first time I ever seen him. I was like, "Who is this clown? Always smiling and laughing. He kind of reminds me of me." Goofball, but it's great stuff, man. He's good. What do you think?
I think it's just going to be a fun fight because Sam's got power. People, they look at him and they think, oh, he's goofy. He's got the, he'll put the smiley face on the back of his head and things like that. He's got his wife in his corner, which she does a great job for him. So, they go through it together. He's slowed down some and Marquez has got power, but Sam's good. He's that typical, that redheaded guy who, he's not the great, but he never quits and he's mean as a junkyard dog. He may not look like he is, but he is.
Oh, what do you got against redheads, man?
I love redheads, man. That's what I'm saying, man. They're just tougher than hell.
Oh,
you go to wrestling tournaments. Who's the kid you don't want to wrestle? The redhead. What's that?
We always used to say things about redheaded kids.
Yeah.
In this podcast because I'll get canceled. Brutal, man. Anytime I wrestled a redheaded kid, they had just this different type of strength. We called it something else, but yeah, I think you guys all know where I'm going with this.
Farmer strength.
Yes, it was. Yeah, that's one word for it. But yeah, it was they would grab your wrist, they would control you. You're like,
oh yeah,
that guy warming up. You're like, I'm gonna smash that kid. No, never worked out that way.
No, never
did.
But, so I think it's gonna be fun. Marquez had a comfort behind victory in his last fight. That was exciting. He did a great job. He does have power in his hands. Sam has been getting hurt more and more in the stand-up with some of the shots, but if he lands, he can definitely hurt you. So I honestly think the fight's going to end one way or the other. Someone's going to be on the canvas while the other guy's sitting on top of the cage.
John, you really went on a limb there, huh? Some way the fight's going to end one way or the other. Very good, very in-depth perspective there, buddy.
Well, if you want me to pick someone, is that what you're asking? You want the pick?
No, I don't want to pick. I'm just laughing. Okay. You really give us, well, of course it's going to end one way or the other. Great technical breakdown, buddy. The thing with him is that Sam Alvey just doesn't make the adjustments. He has a style in his mind. He's going to walk forward, throw some punches, try to get you out of there. But he doesn't make adjustments throughout the fight, and that's going to be
Marquez is hittable.
Yeah, he is hard hittable. But that's his downfall, though. Sam Alvey's downfall is that he doesn't try to mix it up, doesn't try to wrestle a lot.
I agree.
Stays on the feet. And I think if he tried to mix that, even if you're not going to get the takedown, at least threaten a little bit, it opens up your stand-up a lot more.
How many fights has Sam Alvey had in the UFC?
Oh, I don't know. But he's 33-14-1.
I would bet he's had 20 fights in the UFC. I don't know exactly.
So he's making probably a total of 10 grand now.
That's horrible.
Maybe 15 because they gave him 5,000.
No one would have looked at Sam and someone says, that guy's had 20 fights in the UFC. People would go, you're full of shit. Because he's too happy.
He's the guy that I'd probably try to pick a fight with at the bar.
That's it.
Whoop your ass. And then you're like, 2 seconds. No, actually, he's redheaded. No, I wouldn't have done that.
See?
Absolutely not.
The whole thing.
All right, well, hey, let's talk about the one fighting championships. We got our boys, man. Demetrius Johnson, Eddie Alvarez on the card. Both of them, I believe, are fighting for the title, correct?
Both.
Yes.
Yep.
Adriano Moraes and Eddie Alvarez is fighting I can't even say it.
I can't even say it.
Lapicus. Okay. DJ. Look, should we just have the conversation about DJ being the GOAT?
Yeah, you could definitely put him there.
He's in that conversation.
Yes, he is.
We have had this conversation several times. But I feel like I always miss him. I miss the conversation. I miss having him in the conversation. I wish he would have went to 35 and fought.
He's too small.
I know, but I honestly believe he would have had some success against TJ Dillashaw. You know?
I don't know.
I mean,
yeah. Go back and watch Dominic Cruz against DJ.
Yeah.
Different fight.
That's
That's where you look and you go, Demetrius is maybe 5'2".
He's not a big guy.
5'1", 5'2". He is small.
Yeah.
And so the 125s, that's the perfect weight for him to fight at. I know he's 135 with one, but they're doing it where you don't supposedly do the weight cut and stuff like that. The guy he's fighting, Moraes, is good. Adriano's good. And I think he's the champion there, right? This is for the championship because what DJ had won before was their tournament title, and this is the title for their bantamweight. So
yeah, one was for the tournament title, and then this will be for the actual title.
Yeah. So if you look at it, DJ smokes him 99 times out of 100. I'm sorry.
If he gets to the ground, on the feet,
on the feet is trouble.
On the feet's a problem.
Yeah.
And nothing against DJ stand up at all. He puts it together better than anybody, and that's been proven time and time again. The thing is, though, is that those guys in one, they are all just snipers on the feet.
All of the small guys.
All of them.
All of them. And
they will take two shots to give one because they know they can just put your lights out. It doesn't make a difference. They're all very, very good. So, I mean, DJ's obviously, I think, look, as soon as DJ starts touching the legs and able to get a takedown or two, I mean, this guy may never get back up. And he won't be the same fighter when he gets back up either.
Well, nobody has finished him, ever. He's lost by decisions. I think split decision twice. I think unanimous once. But, nobody's ever finished him. So, he's good. But on the ground, DJ is slick.
Yeah, he's good.
And he does some really just you watch the transition from one thing to the other, and what he forces people to end up going the direction that he wants them to, and that's when he starts to catch things. So,
well, when I was working for one years ago, I'd done a lot of training with Matt Hume and Rich Franklin when I were out there because they work for the company as well. And we were, doing some grappling, after weigh-ins, you'd all get together and just kind of grapple together. And, some of the people that work for the promotion, they would all come and join us. But Matt Hume, he's very good coach.
Yep.
And you can just see the way, like, he was talking to me about, like, he would tell DJ, pass the guy's guard one time. He's like, once you pass, hold him there for a little bit, and then put yourself back into half guard and then pass it again. He's like, and once that happens, he's like, they'll just stop trying to defend or trying to stop you from passing anymore. They're just gonna let you pass. And sure as shit, you start watching some about your old. I start watching some older fights of DJs, and he would pass and start letting the guy put him back in. He'd pass again real quick. So like almost like letting the guy get him back into half guard, and then he would just finish the pass. He'd like push the knee back by and get to side control. And then after 2 times or 3 times of that, the guy stopped trying to get back to half guard or guard. He just succumbed to what they were doing. Matt Hume's a phenomenal coach, and DJ is very intelligent. We've seen it throughout his career. That's probably why he didn't go to 35, because he's intelligent. And so that's really what it comes down to, is he's making sure that he has a long career, continues to provide for his family, and good stuff, man. I mean, like, this is going to be a good fight. I don't know anything about Lurie Lepicus or whatever, but I just know
Uri.
I know that Eddie needs to make sure he's back on track with utilizing his wrestling and his striking. He got into this, I guess, slightly after, right around the Bodog time. He stopped being like a little bit of a wrestler. He started becoming an anti-wrestler and then boxer, because he started working with a lot of boxing professionals in boxing. And so he started falling in love with his power, in the Bellator days as well. And it was just like, bro, you've got so many tools. He's got so many weapons. And, I mean, talk to Frankie Edgar, talk to any of the guys over at Mark Henry's place or at Ricardo Almeida's, and they're just like, man, he was so good on the ground. He's phenomenal on the ground. But you never think that because he hardly ever uses it. But he's good on the ground. He's got good wrestling. He's got one hell of a sprawl to stop takedowns as well. but he just never utilizes it. He stands on the feet and uses it and exchanges punches. So he's a phenomenal fighter. But we do have to start incorporating. Oh, let's talk about Eddie's comments. And that was another. We talked about Demetrius Johnson being in the GOAT conversation, but Eddie's in the GOAT conversation for the weight class, not overall.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with it. He should be considered one of the top guys at 155 to ever do it. He was I don't know if he was the Bodog champion. You and I don't think he was. I don't think he was. And then he was the Bellator champion.
But he was in Dream, and
was he the Dream champion? I thought he lost to.
I think he lost the finals because he beat Joaquim, and
that was a fucking
Kawajiri.
The Joaquim Hansen fight was one of the nastiest.
Oh, it was a good fight.
Knockouts.
But he lost. I think he lost the final one in that. He had beaten Joaquim and then Kawajiri, and then he lost to Aoki, I think.
Yeah, he lost with the reverse heel hook. Yeah. I was watching that. I was glued to the TV watching that fight. I was like, yeah. But
if you can look at Eddie saying, if I win the one, that means I was the Bellator champion, the UFC champion, then the one champion. I am the greatest 155-pound fighter of all time.
He's in the.
I would say that he is the most accomplished 155-pounder.
He's Bulldog.
Come on, let's just be.
He was the Bodog welterweight champion.
Welterweight.
Yep. Welterweight, by the way.
Well, he lost it to what? He lost to Nick Thompson.
He lost it to Nick Thompson, so he was the champion.
Okay.
Yeah, he's phenomenal, man. I mean, he's been doing it for a long time, and this is the one thing that, and I will always support what his decisions he's made. He is the guy that always went where the money was, and when I tell fighters, don't care what organization you're in, the money will follow you as long as you keep winning. Just keep doing it. He's walking proof. This guy's lined his pockets at all the. He was with Elite XC. He was with Bellator. He was with Bodog. He was, he's with the UFC. Now he's with one.
Dream.
He's Dream. I mean, he's a higher gun. He'll go to the highest bidder, and I gotta tell you, he's made some very, very smart decisions over his lifespan.
He's got babies' mouths to feed, babe.
He's got 4 little ones. He's got 4, I believe, right?
That's it. Yeah.
4. He finally got his girl. I think that's why he stopped. I think his wife wanted a girl. I think he's got 3 boys and a girl. What a stud. I think he's one of my favorite fighters.
But you got to look and say, most accomplished, I'd go with it. I'd say he's definitely probably the most accomplished based upon the titles that he's won in all these different organizations. But then I got to go back and I got to look and say, look at the fight he had with Conor. And that was when Conor was coming up and he was the lightweight champion.
Yeah.
Just wasn't able to perform. So, and if I was going to take Eddie and I'm going to put him against, and he's had his 2 fights against Michael Chandler, I loved. They were fantastic. I did the second one, man, and it was an awesome display by both guys. But if you say, all right, I'm going to put Eddie Alvarez and Khabib in a match, who are you going to take?
Yeah, I'm going to take Khabib.
Okay. And so that's my problem. That's not putting Eddie down in any way, but most accomplished, I'm 100% behind you. The greatest of all time, I'm probably not.
Yeah, but I guess for me, right, I look at it in terms of there's not a lot of Khabib. I guess Khabib he didn't do it long enough. That's a knock on it. That will be the knock on it, is that he didn't do it long enough. That will be the knock on that. And the Conor thing, of course, he didn't do it long enough. He had 1 or 2 fights at lightweight. He's had 2 fights, 3 fights at lightweight. The rest of them at 170 or 145. So it's the knock is that the same thing with him, is that he didn't do it long enough either, really, in that division. Eddie's done it from welterweight, but majority of it's been at lightweight, but he's done it at welterweight as a champion at Bodog. And then he was the champion. I want to say, was he the champion at Elite XC also?
I don't know.
Elite XC.
He might.
Until I think Strikeforce kind of took it or something like that. And then I think he went to Bodog, or he went to Bellator.
He went before that.
I think he was the Elite XC champion.
Good question.
So I mean, you're talking Elite X. If he is the champion, if he was the champion, it's been so long. If he's, I know I'm freaking old as hell. If he was the champion of Elite XC, he was the Bodog champion, Elite XC champion, Bellator champion. I mean,
no, he was not. He wasn't even at Elite XC.
He was at Elite XC. Show
Nope.
XC right there, Elite Challenger Series. Yep, he was at a catchweight 165.
Yeah, I don't think that's Elite XC.
Show XC was Elite XC.
Oh, okay.
That was like their Challenger Series.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't a championship fight.
No, it wasn't. No.
But
I mean, like he's in the conversation, like for the most.
oh, he's been a fantastic fighter throughout his career. And like I said, he's had some wars and come out of those things. And you look and you go, man, you can't have any more than that. And he goes right back and does another.
Yeah.
So
Good stuff. All right. Well, I mean, they fight on April 7th, so if you guys can tune in and watch that. I believe it's on TNT, correct?
TNT.
Yeah, TNT. So if you guys have that, go ahead and tune in on that. I'll be watching because I want to.
You're getting Demetrius Johnson and Eddie Alvarez for free. Why are you not going to watch? I'll be watching. I will be watching.
I will be. Yes, I will. What else we got there? Oh, sorry. MyBookie.ag. Use the promo code WayneIn, and they'll give you a little extra spending cash on us. Thank us later. Pat us on the back. Next time you see us, if you win some bets, hey, let me know. I know that the there's some the March Madness now is officially over.
Over. Well,
no more basketball to gamble on.
Is it over as of today? It's
Today's Gonzaga.
yeah, Gonzaga against Baylor.
Monday we leave tomorrow, but this will drop on Wednesday morning, I believe. So
Got it.
early because we're leaving. John just ruined the fact that we filmed this 2 days early.
I just did. You're right. I was trying to think, man. I screwed that up.
But you had to go say it out loud.
Well, no, people would have caught on. They're not stupid. Our fans are not stupid. That's why they watch us and not Ariel and DC. Okay, so just remember that. All right, so go to mybookie.ag and use the promo code WayneIn. They'll give you a little extra cash on anything you want to gamble on. So there's some things coming up, I believe. You got the fights, plenty of fights coming up for sure.
Lots of fights.
Lots of them, lots and lots and lots. All right, let's get into some news. This is
Let's
the fight.
do it.
This is honestly when they put this fight together, I was like, hell yeah!
Hell yeah!
Korean Zombie and Dan Ige. Dan Ige will stand in front of you and trade. He's also a smart fighter. He's going to have a hard time getting Korean Zombie down. And I don't know if he wants to get hit by Korean Zombie either. But it does make for a good fight because they're going to meet in the middle and just start throwing. And someone's probably going to be woken up or counting the lights on the ceiling at the end of this whole thing. So I honestly, when they announced that fight, I was like, oh, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
This is going to be good.
Yeah, it is a good fight. But and you can go back to, Ige's fight against Calvin. That was a hell of a fight. They were warring, and Ige's just tough as nails. And so I look at it. That's one of those ones you look and Ige's confidence, in my opinion, has taken a step up because he's had the win after the loss to Cater. Zombie is still in that position where I think he's a little bit down off of the loss to Ortega. He was very disappointed in his performance when he shouldn't have been. He fought super hard. He just fought a guy that technically beat him, and sometimes that happens. But the fight with him and Dan Ige, that's a good one. You're right. That's a good fight.
Well,
50K Ige, baby.
The thing with both of them is that neither one of them are technicians.
No, they're brawlers at times.
Yeah, Danny is just a gritty, hard-nosed fighter who just goes out there and does everything he can to get a win. He reminds me a little bit of like a John Fitch. Somebody like that. Somebody who just, John wrestled a little more. But I'm saying like
John wrestled a lot more.
He's a grinder. He's somebody that goes out there and gets it done. Is Danny Ige.
Yeah, but you go back and if you remember the Korean Zombie's first fight against Leonard Garcia.
Yes, I do remember that.
Oh, that was in the WEC. God damn, that was a good fight. We talk about fights all the time, and that one gets passed over as far as, what's a fight that you would tell people, just watching MMA for the first time? There's a fight. Go watch the Korean Zombie and Leonard Garcia. So they beat the shit out of each other. What a great fight.
I would say that fight. I would say the other one I think is Henderson and Shogun. 1. Not that 2. Yeah, 2 wasn't bad either, but I'd say 1.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
UFC 139.
These guys, though, this is like not a lot of technique. This is just,
oh, no, they're winging.
It was
They were just winging.
fastest windmill one. It this was a fight. I think after this fight, Korean Zombie. I think this is when Dana started rocking a Korean Zombie shirt, like walking around at the weigh-ins and shit. It's pretty cool. This was so funny. Man, Leonard Garcia was a tough SOB.
Oh, dude, he's tough as hell. You know, he just retired. Got a win in bare knuckle boxing. I think he did 3 fights in bare knuckle boxing, 2-1, and he retired off of his last win. Congratulations to you, Leonard.
He went through some hard times after.
Yeah,
that's good. I'm glad he got.
Good guy.
He is. He is a super nice guy. Every time I did like autograph signings and stuff with him, he was a phenomenal person.
Yeah.
All right, what else you got for us?
The second fight mentioned in this article is Sirogon versus Alexander Volkov.
I mean,
interesting. Both kickboxing backgrounds. Both guys like to, keep the fight on the feet. But Cyril does have. He's got a submission game that he pulls out at times. So it'll be interesting if he gets Volkov. Volkov does not do well when he hits the ground. Usually his recipe for disaster. But he's good. He's 6'7". Also, Gone is 6'5". So two very large men.
I would say that it should all favor Sirogon based on his ability and his strength. Like his athletic ability should be far superior than Volkov. I mean,
I agree.
On the inside, if he can get in on the inside, I think he'll have success to be able to get down, and there's no way Volkov's going to get up off of his back.
But there is a huge difference in experience.
Yeah, there is. I mean, I don't know. Sirogon can't afford to have another fight like he did last. If he has a fight like that, the UFC is like, look, we're going to slow our roll on pushing this guy then, because we need heavyweights to throw. Okay, and we know that you want to fight.
They got a heavyweight that'll throw.
Yeah, Derek Lewis.
John Jones will throw. Just pay him, man.
John, he ain't getting paid $50 million.
No, when he's got that up there, it's a little. But like everyone needs to understand this: promotions and fighters. Okay, I have no problem with John Jones saying I want more than 8 to 10 million. I'm not even thinking about taking that. Okay, because he's got a price that he believes he's worth, and the promotion has a price that they believe that he's worth. Now, sometimes those prices don't mesh, but the promotion is always trying to get the fighter at the best price they can get him. Yeah. And the fighter is always trying to get the most money that he can make. So there's that, it's a functional battle that's between the two. And when you're this far off, though, that's a problem because, let's be honest about it, Josh. The UFC has maintained a basic 80-20 with the fighters. All right. It used to actually be a little bit less, but we'll say it's an 80-20 now.
It's not, John, but
what's that?
Not 80-20. It's not 80-20.
Okay, so it's somewhere in the.
It's like 80. What is that? 87.
I would say it's not 87. It's somewhere. I would say somewhere around 85, 83 to 15 to 17. Here goes math again, right?
I was doing the math in my head. I'm like,
oh no, but the UFC is in a position. They have their set standard. They don't like to go over, and they don't do it because they have investors and they have people that they want to invest in them even further. And they like showing this great, percentage that, they're making money off of. And John's going to have to figure out what's important to him. He's either going to make a stand and say, hey, I'm not going to, fight your guy for what you want to pay me because I'm worth more. And if he's going to make that stand, it's going to be costly. If he tries to get out of the contract, because it's going to be very hard for him to do.
Well, if I was John Jones, you know what I would do? Is I would just say, I don't want a title shot. I want to just keep fighting all the under guys until my contract is up and just make a ton of money doing that. Fight the lesser guys. Fight the Volkovs. Fight the,
But you don't know how many fights he has on his contract.
Yeah, you're right. I don't. But if he has, let's just say he has 4. So he has 4 left. You know, I mean, fight out your 4, fight out 2, fight 3 in 1 year. Get paid. You're gonna get paid. You're still gonna get paid in the millions. You know, it's probably only like $1.5 million or $2 million. You know, but whatever, man. Make that. Get out of your contract. Go somewhere else.
I don't know. I saw a news media outlet, one of the fantastic MMA websites that we have, saying that John Jones made $500,000 to fight.
Insane.
What's that?
Insane. What
I love them. Come on. They put that out there and you just look at them and you go, are you guys really that stupid?
They are, John.
Jesus.
They have a picture of a boxer. I think it's like Floyd or somebody saying
no, it's Canelo.
Canelo made $35 million, and then John Jones makes 500. Guys, that's not reality. You know, if you guys go back,
and it's not true.
You guys look at what I made for Bellator. It says I made 10 grand. I didn't really. Fucking idiots! Like, there's no way. Like, you know, that's the thing. Like, if you don't want your stuff to be public, you just tell them that you don't want it to be public, and you just take your site signature.
And it's really not the public's.
It's none of their business.
None of their business.
Yeah. That bugged me when I was with Strikeforce. It would show sometimes what I was making. Finally, like halfway, right when I won the title, I said, "Hey, can we just not?" And he's like, "Yeah, we can do that." I mean, it's still reported like what I'm making through the IRS. Trust me.
Yes, of course.
It's like, but it's, you know, you just don't want everyone knowing what you're making, because then you just get people constantly asking. Like, hey,
that's because they're stupid enough to sit there and have an athletic commission say this is the amount of money that was put out for the fighters, and they have a list of the checks that were handed to the fighters after their fights, and John Jones got a $500,000 check. That doesn't mean that's his full pay.
Yep. Yeah, if you guys go back and watch the Chuck Liddell fights, when he was fighting Tito and Randy and those guys, and his pay, his flat pay was $500,000. There is no way. We had the same manager. He was not making $500,000. His one T-shirt he used to wear up Cobb 28. I want to say he was making $100,000 just to wear the shirt. That's probably why they're out of business, though, by the way. But Cobb 28, to wear that one shirt, he was making $100,000. That's when sponsors were making real money, killing it. You know what I mean? But no, there's no way he was fighting for $500,000. There was no way. I mean, he'd already put in all the work though to get to where he was, but there was no way.
Put in a lot of work.
As far as what John goes, I don't know how many fights he has left on his contract. You got to remember, every time you defend your title, which he did a bunch of times at 205. I think it increases your fight like 2 fights.
That just extends it out. You know that you're always up for 3.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm sure he's got probably anywhere between 4 to 6 left, somewhere in there. But I think he can get that knocked off. I'm sure he could. If he could do 3 in a year, say he fights a Volkov or who's the other, Rosenstruck, and you fight those type of guys. He's just way more athletic than those guys.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna handle it. I think
he's also way more versatile.
Yeah, I think he'd have a hard time with Sirogon. Only the experience would come through. You know what I mean? But just the size and the brute.
John Jones eats Sirogon up.
I'm only throwing it out there because there is a little bit of hype around him. We haven't seen a polished Sirogon yet, which means that John would probably pick him apart. You know, with the experience, like I was trying to get to. But but I think it is an interesting matchup because he is young and athletic, and Sirogon's young and athletic, and just he can push the pace on him a little bit, maybe put some heat on him if he wanted to. Let it all hang out. I like what he did against Rosenstruck. But good stuff. I mean, we'll see. I don't think they're gonna come close. It's not gonna happen. UFC offers Francis Ngannou a rematch with Derek Lewis for June 12th. The Predator declines. Why?
Probably because it's too soon.
Well, I guess maybe. Yeah. Take a couple weeks off. UFC's tires on Francis Ngannou. However, the timing doesn't work for Ngannou, and I don't blame him. It's only there you go. So I get look. If they're not going to get close to John, what do you think John's worth for this fight? What do you think John's worth? 15?
At least.
You'd go all the way to 20?
I would.
No whammies? All the way
I wouldn't go up above that.
Okay.
But I would say he's worth 20. Pay the man. And you got the reason I say that, Josh, he has proven through a body of work, he's worth it. You've got this guy that's supposedly a killer. You want me to fight him? I'll fight him. Just pay me what I'm worth to fight him. I was your champion through what, 2 205 title matches.
Yeah.
Yeah,
John,
that's a lot.
let me ask you this though: Is
Yeah.
he worth it? That's the question. Like, is he worth it? When you talk dollars and cents, we're talking pay-per-view buys and what this is going to translate to. Does it pay for itself?
I think this fight actually sells. I just look at it and I think there's people out there that want to see John Jones win, and there's people that want to see John Jones knocked out. And they look at Francis Ngannou. That's a guy that can knock him out, and I want to watch that. And they're going to watch based upon what they want to see, and there's nothing wrong with that. Ali made his living off of people loving him and wanting to see him win, and people hating him and wanting to see him lose. Floyd Mayweather did the same thing. John needs to embrace that. It's good. Go ahead. Hate me. I don't care. Pay me is all I need.
But I think John has only broken the million mark, I think, like twice.
He would break it in this one.
I guess, yeah.
I think the UFC makes a lot of money in this fight. I think it's a huge fight because you're really looking at, they're talking, okay, bringing up Jan Blachowicz, right? It's like, not going to do anything.
That's not going to sell.
Not going to do anything.
No.
But John Jones, yeah, it'll sell.
Yeah, it will. It will. You get to the point though where for the promotion you got to start wondering. I know they got them. We all know they got the money. They can.
Yes.
But like you were saying, when it comes to the investors, and then also too, you start laying the groundwork. And this happened with the Conor thing. They started paying Conor too much, and
yep.
All the other fighters like, well, hey, my hands are up. My turn. Where's mine? And that's they want to avoid that, and so they do. They don't have every fighter that becomes champion or starts having success, come to them and say, hey, we want more money. That's one of the biggest mistakes I think that these fighters make. Like, I get you want more, but you got to make it like a little bit more private. It is what it is. Like with the Diaz brothers, they don't really talk about their shit. They just say, hey, you either pay me or you don't, or I'm not fighting. And they leave it at that, but John's throwing numbers out there. It just sounds like astronomical, almost like childish a little bit. Like, why are you trying to say 50 million? What's the number? Give me the fucking number so we can talk and sit down and be like, hey, you're at 20. Give me a real number, not 50, because 50 is just
not a real number.
Give me 20. If you gave me 20, let's meet somewhere in the middle at 18. How's that sound? Can we do that? Like that? You got to have a conversation like that. And none of that shit gets settled over Twitter.
And that's like I'm saying, that's because promoters trying to get you for the least amount of money they can. You're trying to make the most amount. And it's always difficult when you think I am worth this, and this person now tells you, no, you're not. Sucks.
Yeah, well, I got another way that fighters can start making money. Look, if you're making in the millions, you shouldn't be paying your management 20% or 10% anymore.
Oh, God, no.
There's no way. Like, you start talking about the management, what they make for the guys that are in the NFL and the NBA and all that, they're not making 10 and 20%. They're making like 2 and 3%, if that.
Up to 4.
That's up to 4. That's a negotiable thing. You know what I mean? Depending on who you are and your clout and how much money you actually bring in. You know what I mean? Because if I'm making, like if you're making Michael Jordan money, your agent's not taking more than 1%. He's like, no, you're not getting
and
it.
He's happy with it.
Yeah. He's like, I'll just take this. Yeah. Because there's no way I'm breaking 2, 3, 4% for you. So, I mean, like with John, I don't know. I think Malky's his manager, correct?
Yep. Malky Kawa.
If I was John, I'd be having a conversation with him like, hey, we're making $5 million. We're making $15 million, whatever it is. Your percentage is going down to make up that UFC loss.
And Malky's going to tell you your management's going down too.
Well, then I could, bro, I can negotiate my own damn deals. Trust me. It's not. Here's the thing. These fighters need to understand in the UFC, there's no negotiation. That's the thing. Like you have a little bit of wiggle room, but let's be real. The conversation is, okay, John, what do you want? Okay, I want 20. Well, that's not going to happen, John. Give me a real number. 17. Now we're getting closer. John, talk to me, bro. Talk to me for real. We're almost there. 15. Okay, done. That's the way it's going to go. Yeah. They'll do that. They'll do that. But when you're what's it called? Winkle John came out and said 50 million. He's the one that said 50 million. I'm like,
yeah, but that's his trainer. It's okay.
Coaches get involved. I'd be mad at my coaches. Be like, don't talk to him about money. Like, that's what I have managers for. Leave it alone. Anyways, all right, we were long enough rant on the John Jones situation.
That's true.
Coach of UFC could.
Sorry,
I was gonna say that he puts up what?
50 million. Okay.
Yep.
So Scott Coker details Bellator decision to part ways with Mike Goldberg. What's your take? You guys are look. I'm friends with Goldie as well, but
Mhm.
you've been friends with him for a long time.
I've known Goldie since UFC Japan, man. You know, he's Goldie's he's an icon in the sport with his commentary and all the fights that he did. And the UFC's never going to be able to get rid of Mike Goldberg because you go back, for 20 some years, Mike Goldberg's voice is on that. And that's not saying anything about John Anik. I love John. He's great at what he does. But Mike was that special guy. Well, then when Mike ended up leaving the UFC based upon if Lorenzo Fertitta was still with the UFC, Mike Goldberg would have still been with the UFC. Guaranteed. But they looked at pay and they said, why am I going to pay this guy this much when I can pay this guy this much? And he does the same job. And so that's why Anik came in and Goldberg was out. And so Goldberg ends up, going over to Bellator. Mike did good at Bellator and it was enjoyable for me to work with. I will always, enjoy my time with him. And I think everyone should respect, the job that he did, over all of those years. Just because he's gone right now doesn't mean he won't come back. There's a possibility that he'll come back, but I honestly think that there's something with, the Showtime and everything. I think they look at him more as he's that UFC guy. Yeah. And I think that label kind of makes it to where they go, I don't know if that's what we want. We want to be us, not part of them.
Yeah, it's hard because you stamp he's got his signature voice all over the UFC.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
When they're watching Bellator and they're watching the UFC, they want to create a separation. That's the only thing I could think of. But like Coker said, he really likes Goldie. I think it was more of of the terms of hey, when we join networks and they have, Morrow was already signed with Showtime.
Morrow has been with Showtime for 15 years?
Yeah, forever. And so when we went full-time on to Showtime, I think the decision was, hey, Morrow, you have to work all these shows. And I think Morrow was like, okay, I got it. So, whereas before we had Paramount, we had Channel 5, we had all these other networks that we were on. It's like, no, now it's just all one network. And that was the benefit of going. Not for Goldie it was, but for the benefit of going to one network is so everything could just be in sync with one thing. So, I mean,
when Morrow says, yeah, I can do that. He ain't kidding. Here's a guy you got to take a look. He was Showtime boxing, NXT or WWE with the wrestling, and then Bellator at times. I mean, he was bouncing around everywhere, and he never misses a beat. The guy he's a savant when it comes to being a play-by-play guy. He just is incredible at what he does.
Pride, right? He did Pride.
He did Pride.
I think he did my Bushido.
He did Elite XC.
Right, he did Elite XC. He did Strike
Force.
He's been around forever. But but his contract was with Showtime, and I think that's kind of what settled it all in.
Yeah, I think that was everything.
Yeah. So that kind of pushed to hey, we just there's, I hope I don't know if he's gonna get back into MMA possibly, but I mean he's got a really good eye for hockey. He loves hockey.
Oh, he's fantastic.
So I'd like to see him get picked up by some sort of network to work, hockey games. I mean, he's phenomenal, man. He's phenomenal for sure.
Whoever gets him is going to get someone that's just, good. He's great to work with, and he's gonna elevate the level of whatever it is that he's part of.
This is true. All right, what else you got for us?
Want to do some fan questions?
Yep, we're doing a couple fan questions for you guys. Since John already ruined the fact that we're filming this on Monday.
Because we have to, because we can't do it on the other days because we're in quarantine.
I sent this to Dave because it got so many likes.
This isn't a question. This came from
very competitive. At least we're very competitive.
Yes. So this came from John from our comment section, and it says, Big John and Josh look like head coaches of a very competitive little league soccer team. So there was a ton of likes on it. I just wanted to give you a little props for hitting us in the comments.
Is that because we were both wearing baseball hats and sweatshirts or what?
No. This was on the was it on? This was on our comment section. I thought they were talking about on the broadcast.
No, they're talking about our podcast, man.
All right. Well, hey, maybe I mistook it for whatever, but it's still I thought it was pretty funny.
It's cause you wear like the soccer dad hats, like the skip caps.
Oh.
Yeah, and you got like you're all like bunched up with your clothes, and you're like, get him, get the ball. I don't know how to do it over here with soccer because we don't call it that for a start, but
Okay, well, my hat now is not a soccer league hat. This is the USS Truman. To all the sailors that are on the USS Truman, what's up? I hope you guys are good. Thank you for what you're doing all the time. You guys are awesome. There you go.
They are. Yeah, but I wanted to give John a little props for that, and say, hey, you got a lot of likes and a lot of 78 likes, and that was a day and a half ago when I sent it over to Dave. So I said, hey, I wanted to give him a little shout out because great comment. All right, well, talk to us, Dave.
all right. This one comes from Glass Fanatic, and as you can see, a little bit of a lengthy one, but it was one of the favorite questions, so I wanted to get this one in on the show. What do you guys think of the John Jones pay situation? I know we just talked about it. John always compares his situations to his brothers in the NFL, but if he really thought about he wouldn't have a career if he was in a league like NFL. They would have cut his ass after he hit a run. After the hit and run, Dana saved this man's career after the hit and run, multiple failed drug tests and general negative behavior, and this is how he's going to go about it. Love your guys' opinion.
Well, we kind of already talked about it just recently on this, just a couple seconds ago. It really just comes down to it doesn't matter if it was the NFL or the NBA, Major League Baseball or whatever it was. They would have still given him a stern warning. But reality is that if you're Tom Brady and you hit and run, they're going to give you another chance. Okay? There's an old saying that
There you go.
you're the number one. There's an old saying. If you're the number one salesperson at a car dealership, you could take the owner's hat and shit in it in the middle of the street and leave it there, and he wouldn't fucking fire you, because you're
He
bringing.
may not like you,
He doesn't have to like you. He's making money off of you. And
but
that's-
here's the one thing. In this, as I'm looking at it, it says Dana saved this man's career. No, he did not. Okay, Dana tried to help John because it helps Dana. He's a great fighter, and when you're looking, fighting is a business, and it is a singular business. You are a brand unto yourself, and John could have taken his skills somewhere else. Now, maybe he wouldn't have made the same amount of money. Maybe he would. Maybe he wouldn't have the same amount of fame. Maybe he would. But, because John, if the UFC had decided to let him go off of one of those, he was going to do just fine.
yeah,
So,
true. John can go anywhere. John can
yes.
go anywhere. He just got to fight out his contract. Like I was just suggesting earlier, is that he can turn down the title fight, because if he takes the title fight, it extends his contract for at least 2 or 3 more fights. Even if he loses, it extends his contract. So he needs to, I think, my honest opinion is, if he's going to be at heavyweight, fight all the other guys. You don't have to take the fight at heavyweight. You don't have to take the title fight. You can still say, no, I'll fight these other guys. I'm available to fight all the other competition, and just fight out your contract. He can do 3 to 4 fights in a year. I know he probably doesn't want to. He is getting a little bit older. What is he, 33? And so, just fight it out. And then if that's the case, you go somewhere. Some of these companies like the PFL, they'd go bankrupt trying to pay him, but they would do it.
Yep.
They would do it. Yeah, I'm sure one would love to pay that guy, and he'd have to fight once a year, and they'd be lining his pockets forever.
Yep.
That's a good way to do it as well for him. So that's a way to look at it if you guys want.
And next question.
Yep.
The Hobo Musical asks John, what was the strangest thing you've witnessed a fighter has say, do after they get knocked out? Example, thinking they won, etc. Love the podcast, guys.
I don't remember his name, man. I'm sorry, but I had a fight. It was in a small show.
Even if you remember his name, please don't say it. That's messed.
And he comes out, and they're doing the whole thing. They walk him out, and the announcer announces both guys, and the fight lasted, honest to God, 6-7 seconds. He comes out in one right hand and then a left hand, and he's out, man. He was out. And he was so out that, they were concerned, and, then they're going to do the announcement of the one guy. Well, the other fighter is taken. He's put on his hat. He's got a sponsor shirt that he's put on and everything. And And this guy now wakes up, and they're still they're talking about carrying him out, and then he's trying to get up, and then he gets up and he looks at his trainer who's there, and he's going, when are we going to start this fight? And the trainer goes, we had a fight. He goes, what do you mean we fought? I have not fought. I have not fought. And he's just sitting there, and they're telling him, no, you did fight. Look, we have video, right? And he goes, that's bullshit. I did not fight. Why is that guy wearing his stuff? I can't wear my stuff, and then they make me take it off out there. And that's all he was talking about. It was hysterical, but it was sad. So I thought it was funny.
Jeez. So you said that was about a 6-second knockout?
Yeah, it took about 6 seconds for it to happen.
Were you around? Did you hear about the time when Bob Cook had probably the fastest knockout in history? So Bob Cook,
I was around, but I don't remember his being the fastest.
Bob fought this guy. I want to say I have to figure out where it was. He's got it on video.
Right here, 3 seconds.
Yes. The guy sprints across the cage, and Bob steps in. It was open palm striking. Bob steps in with the open palm, folds him back over, and fucking done.
Yeah.
Bob was able to hit him one more time, but that fight was done and over.
It was the same. That fight was the same as, in my opinion, the time frame of Masvidal and Askren, because you had one guy come and all of a sudden it was the run. Yeah, I've seen it, and I didn't recall. I was thinking it was somewhere in the 6 second range or something like that.
Yeah, wow, that's fucking crazy. Anyways, that's my manager. Give him a little props. I've seen that video a bunch of times. Guys talking about it, and
he had hair back then.
Yeah, he
was fighting.
Shaggy hair on the top, kind of groomed it up. All right, go ahead. Next question.
Choker01 says, in terms of skills, is Kane the best heavyweight of all time?
No,
but I'd probably say Stipe.
I'd say Fedor.
Oh, yeah, Fedor.
And everyone's gonna get on me about look, if you guys were around this sport when Fedor was coming up, and then at that level that everyone's looking at and going, wow, and then at the top winning the title and holding on to it, no one beat him. He was that good.
Pull up his record.
Is he the same fighter now? No, he's nowhere close, but his record was unbelievable. He had one loss, if you look at it, in his first 30 some fights, and it was to Tsuyoshi Kosaka. It wasn't a loss. He got cut with an illegal elbow, and because it was a tournament and he couldn't go on because of the cut, they gave him a loss. It was in Japan. They kind of do that, and TK went on in the tournament. So take a look at all those wins in a row.
If you look at Ricardo Arona, who was a fucking savage at that time.
Yep.
Savage, right?
Just all of them.
Kosaka was a doctor stoppage, like you just said. You gave the full explanation of the cut, and someone had to move on to the tournament. Yep. Kerry Shaw was good.
Meat truck.
Sabral, Babalu Sabral, Chris Hazeman, Semi
Schilt, 7'1",
Keith Haring, Nogueira, Fujita. That was a great fight, by the way. Fujita, Gary Goodrich, Nagata, Coleman, Randleman, all like back to back. Coleman, Randleman, Ogawa, then Nogueira again, and then Nogueira again. I mean, like Kosaka again, who he then beat. Mirko, who was at the top of the game. Then you go
killing everybody at the time.
Coleman, Hunt, Matt Linlin, Hungman Choi was what 7'2", 7'2".
Yeah, Semi Schilt was 7'1". I think Hungman was 7'2".
Man, Hungman Choi 7-something foot tall. Okay, you have Arlovsky, Tim Sylvia, Brett Rogers. And then he goes on a losing streak a little bit there. It really just came down to like he started to get a little bit older, started not being as active. And he had some bad luck when he came over to the States and started fighting. He fought Verdum, fought Silva, fought Henderson. Just had a bad run in that area.
He fought way better in a ring than he did in a cage. Yeah. And there's just a difference.
Yeah.
But he was so good at a certain point because, I'm not sure exactly, but I think he's 9-1 against former UFC world champions. I think his one loss to champions is Verdum. You know, because that was his first loss in a long time. It was Fabricio Verdum, got him in a triangle. So
Yeah, which honestly was just a mistake.
oh, a total mistake.
Had he just let Verdum get back up, he probably would have finished him.
Oh, he
Dropped him and then jumped
so
off.
many different things, and he bounced him off of the fence, which was, you know, he bounced off the fence, and when he came back, that's when he bounced right into Fabricio's triangle. So,
And then there was time where he slipped the head out, but then he put the head back in, thinking he'd get out. But it was only like what? It was real quick too. It was what, 2 minutes in the first round. He wasn't sweaty yet, wasn't able to slip out of things, and just locked it up.
Yep,
I was just super shocked. Anyways, yeah. Then he beat Jeff Munson. I mean, I can go through the list, you know, of all these fighters. Pedro Hizzo, you know, he's beaten a lot of fighters that were very, very good. Just doesn't get the respect because not a lot of people that are watching the sport now were watching the sport then.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to.
Yep.
People only want to remember the most current people. They think they're the greatest of all.
there's a reason why the UFC bent over backwards trying to get him.
Yeah. Yes. This is true.
One time.
All right. What else you got?
Carson Bostic says or asks, who hits harder, Francis Ngannou or Deontay Wilder?
Well, according to a punch machine, it's Francis Ngannou. You know, I would say that, you know, it's got to be Francis, and I'm saying it for this reason. Deontay is 6'7" or so, but he's about 218 to 219, maybe 220 pounds when he's fighting. And right there it says 213 pounds. And so Francis is 6'5", and he's cutting to 265 pounds. He's just a bigger dude. You know, he may not be quite as tall, but Francis is a monster when you see him in person. He's big, he's strong. And according to the punch machine thing that they all, you know, a lot of people have done, he is way above a lot of people.
Look, if I was going to say they were the same size, or if I was comparing them equally, I would say Deontay Wilder.
Yeah.
If you were to compare, like, say, hey, if I take into consideration that Deontay Wilder is smaller, and if it was like pounds per square inch by your body size or whatever the fucking math equals up to be, because that's not my strong suit, okay, so I would say it'd be Deontay Wilder. You know, and the other thing as well is that with technique, Deontay Wilder, you know, like he's a lot smoother of a boxer. He throws a lot of cleaner strikes, a lot of, you know, Francis Ngannou throws his whole body behind it, you know, and if it lands, it's going to decapitate you like Overeem. You know, but that's not Wilder's very smooth with his combinations, his boxing. His right hand is freaking nasty.
His right hand is a bomb.
Yeah, it's a bomb for sure. Remember what's his name? When he fought Ortiz, hit him on the top of right in the skull, boom, right on the top of the head. You saw all the fucking sweat come off of his head. And he just dropped and crumbled.
That was his brain cells going out.
That was crazy.
Yeah, it was a nasty shot.
Yep. All right, what else you got?
Daniel Attilano just wants to tell you this is the best MMA podcast.
Daniel Attilano, you have always been one of the most intelligent people I have ever known. And so I would like to say you're right again. Yes, sir, this is the best MMA podcast out there. And still.
Hashtag and still, buddy.
Next one comes from Sam Vicencio. I can't get that one out.
Vicencio.
Yeah, there you go. Josh got it.
I guess reading's not your strong suit. It's all right. Math's not mine.
For Josh, would you ever do a grappling match on Submission Underground or on Who's Number One?
Yeah, we had talked about what's it called? Chael had hit me up about possibly doing one against Gilbert. You know, just for fun, whatever. I mean, money involved, but yeah, I mean,
just
like
for fun.
That's all, I mean, that'd be fun. It would be fun to do it, and I would love to entertain that, of course. Yeah, I'm not trying to compete against, you know, a lot. I'm 43 or something like that now, so it's like I'm not trying to compete against Gilbert.
John Norton.
Yeah.
Or Tyler Connell.
Yeah. No, I'm okay with those.
Inside joke there.
It was so great. But the Gilbert thing interests me. You know, I mean, I would like to have fun with things like that. I would do a Nate Diaz one. I'd like to do that as well. I mean, we had one before in the past, and he won by a referee's decision, which it was a Gracie tournament, by the way. I just want to remind everybody. But I mean, I thought I
Don't
won.
make excuses.
Yeah, whatever. I thought I won. It was 0-0 to the ref's decision. Well, it wasn't 0-0. But yeah, it was a decision by the ref, and the ref gave it to him. Yeah, I was so upset. But yeah, no, I think that would be great. I would love to do something like that. Chael, balls in your court, buddy. You got my number. Give me a call.
For Big John, who's your top 5 current referees?
Oh my God! As far as performance right now, or as far as the way the public looks and says,
No, you want to know your opinion, but also don't put them in order, okay? Because then that's bad. Yeah, we want.
okay, no order. I'll give you Mike Beltran, Jason Herzog, Mark Goddard. Still love Leon Roberts. He's outstanding. Keith Peterson.
Nah. Whatever happened to Josh Rosenthal?
Josh is still working in California at times. Josh ended up having a problem with the federal government, ended up going to prison for a little while over marijuana, which is ridiculous. But so that, put a damper on, when you are trying to become a referee or you are licensed as a referee, you've got to put in all this stuff about, have you been arrested? Well, what's it for? And so then some of them then decide, we're not going to license you. Josh Rosenthal was a good referee. He's a good person, and he should be back doing fights. But a lot of it was, he wanted to take a step away after coming back, because it's like he didn't have the same feel for it, the same passion for it. He's kind of he's just taking his time with it.
Where does Trigg fit in all this, Frank Trigg?
Frank is he's up there. He's coming up. He just hasn't had the ability to work lately. With COVID, you got to figure a very small select group of referees were actually working all of these events. If you were with the UFC, if you were in Vegas, it was going to be Chris Tagnoni, who is a resident of Las Vegas. It was going to be Mark Smith, a resident of Las Vegas. They would bring in someone like Mark Goddard or Herb Dean or Jason Herzog, now Mike Beltran. So those are your guys, Keith Peterson and sometimes Dan Murgalata. Those were the guys that would do fights there in Vegas. Then if they went to Fight Island, Mark, Goddard again would be the guy definitely there. They would use Kevin Sataki, Lukash. Who else did they use?
Doesn't Frank live in Vegas?
Herb. No, Frank lives in California.
Oh, I thought he was in Vegas.
So he's not licensed as a official in Vegas, and so that's why California hasn't been having fights. That's why Frank hasn't been doing fights.
Poor guy, man.
Yeah,
he's a good dude.
So he's a great guy.
Next question.
Mr. Grooveman asks, if Tony Ferguson went on a win streak, do you think he'd be the only one to make Khabib come back and try and make the fight happen one last time?
No, the ship sailed.
That has gotten to the point of being ridiculous as far as 5 times signed, 5 times failed. I think that's the last thing that Khabib would get excited about coming back for.
The only guy he's coming back for is GSP. And, we've been hearing rumblings that they're trying to work a backdoor deal on it and to get it done. That's all we've been hearing. Like, I don't know how close they are to doing it, but I heard that it's still kind of in the works. So they're still trying to get it to happen. Whether they get it done or not, that comes down to lawyers and money and promotion and, and all that shit. So who knows? But, I mean, if it does get done, I'd love to see it. I'd pay for it, but that's the only fight that's got him motivated. If that fight doesn't happen, he's going to ride off into the sunset. He'll be coach of the year. What else?
Not bad.
Philip Han asks, what's the worst job you've ever had?
Ooh, go Josh.
Go with fucking podcast.
Worse.
Fuck
yeah. Oh, touche. Boom. That was the one.
Yeah, boom, roasted.
Oh.
Love it. Shit. The worst job I've ever had.
That was close to what it was.
Yeah. I didn't really have.
Yeah, you have never had a job.
Well, like, look, it wasn't the worst job for me, but it was very eye-opening. But I think people look at it as the worst job. But when I was a kid, I grew up in a very poor house, and when my parents were living with my grandparents here in San Jose, on the summer times, all the grandchildren would all get together with my grandparents, and we'd all have to go pick apricots and pick prunes and pick cherries and stuff. And so we worked, our whole summer in the orchards and the fields, picking fruits and vegetables. You'd pick, buckets, or not buckets, but like boxes of apricots for 35 cents a box, and then you take them over to where my grandmother was, and she'd cut them, pull the pits out, and she'd lay them all out in a big tray so they could dry them and sell them. Didn't make much. You do, anywhere between, 30 to 40 boxes a day of picking and cutting. You'd only make probably, $20 for the day. But that's what we did. My grandmother has 13 kids. My mom is the youngest. And so all that money went to all the grandchildren to help feed us during the summer while our parents worked, and we just hung out with grandma at grandma's house. So I wouldn't say it was the worst job, but if you're talking in today's reality, it would be considered the worst job considering what we got paid. But it was a lot of fun. We used to drive a little army, one of those green army tractors around the orchards, we'd ride on the back, and it was cool, great experiences, a lot of rattlesnakes and catching lizards and shit. But it was a good time, but eye-opening experience, and realizing that I never wanted to have to suffer for things for money. So I think that's a big reason what my drive is now.
Good. My worst job, digging ditches for plumbers. That's the worst job ever. I dug more goddamn holes, especially when people have their main line breaks. It stinks to high heaven. It's a horrible job. Painting streets, making parking lots with the cement blocks. I did that for a long time because I was good at picking up the cement blocks. So I'm putting them from the truck onto the spot and shoving some rebar down into the ground with them. So I don't know. I never the only part that I hated as far as the jobs, the digging ditches, especially because of the stink, is I don't smell real good, but boy, I smell that. It was nasty.
Yeah, I never had a hard time with manual labor. I did construction in high school every summer. I did roofing and did
I did roofing.
I did concrete. I did a lot of work. I loved working. Manual labor was actually more fun to me than fucking. I tried doing washing dishes at restaurants and shit. It was so boring. This is garbage. I mean, the prep cooking part was kind of fun. I kind of learned how to use a knife, but I was 18, 19. I did that during the winter, but during the summer, I wanted to be outside, man. I did anything to get a job outside. I was a golf caddy, and then I did framing, I did roofing, I did concrete, I did whatever I could do to get outside. I even did a trap and skeet. I worked at a trap and skeet range where you had to go and load all the clay pigeons and push the button when they yelled pull. But whatever, man. I think I made $2.15 an hour. That's what I made.
Yeah, it's good money, baby.
Hey, whatever. It was
all right.
13 years old.
Next one, Dave.
Billy Boy asks, Big John and Josh, with all of your years of expertise, what would you say is the most common or worst mistake fighters tend to make that shortens their careers?
What Kevin Holland's doing right now. That's what shortens your careers. When you try to be more of an entertainer than a fighter. This is the fight game. This is the hurt business, as people call it. You got to remember, every second is you're a fighter. It's a fight. Things can happen and change in a split second, and it only takes 2 losses for people to stop talking about you. And once they stop talking about you, it's going to take forever to get them to start talking about you again. And that just affects your revenue dollars and what you bring to the table when you're talking about promotion. We're having this conversation about John Jones. Is he worth the money? Is he talented? Hell yes. But does he sell enough pay-per-views? No, he's only sold maybe 1 or 2 times over 1 million pay-per-views. So when they're talking about 15 to 20 or $50 million, it just sounds ridiculous. As a business model, no. So if you want to be an entertainer, you need to always think about winning. I get the entertainment side of it all. But look at that. Conor did the entertainment side of it all, but he still performed in the cage. That's what got him the money. It wasn't all the talk, and then what we saw with Kevin Holland. You have to perform, and that's what Conor did, and that's what made him so popular. That's really what it comes down to. That's the biggest mistake you can make, is thinking that you're going to go out there and talk your way into title shots. I mean, you got to perform. You got to win.
Good point. All of it true. I would say the worst mistake fighters make is they start to believe their press clippings. They start to listen to people that really don't know and talk about how wonderful they are, and they stop doing the things that made them successful. They start to take shortcuts. It's like, oh, I don't have to train today. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. I'll be fine. And they then end up going into a fight when they're not prepared, and the results usually don't come out the way they want. And everyone's like, what happened? Well, what happened is you changed who you were and you changed how you got to this level. So that is usually the worst mistake I see. Right?
That was going to be my next one.
Okay.
It was like you read like the Sean O'Malley thing. You're reading your own paper clippings.
Don't do it.
All right, one more.
Last one comes from Rafael Costa, and he says, how did you guys come up with the name of the show?
Dave, have at it, buddy.
Well, you know, in 1987, November 1st, at 4
Oh, Jesus Christ.
there was this,
Josh came up with a name now.
The one thing that I can say that Podcast Dave has contributed to this show is that name. No, I mean, I think what you were talking with your lady friend, your wife, and she said,
Lady friend.
yeah, she just basically.
Good thing you clarified that was his wife, or he's going to go home and get his ass whipped.
No, look, we had this conversation when we started this show, and I still have the intentions of doing this, and we had talked about it forever. Is that this show was called Weighing In because we like to weigh in on the topics in terms of MMA. But what I also wanted to do, and which we will probably eventually do, is we want to bring in, people that like to weigh in on their topics. So I want to bring in top wrestlers, in the nation and have them show techniques, and they'll be called Weighing In Wrestling. I want to try to make this a full platform for everyone to bring on something, and we can be a one-stop shop network, on our YouTube channel or whatever. So if you guys, if people that are creative, let's say I was talking with Jordan Burroughs about doing a wrestling, videos, and he wanted to put them out and have them on here as in terms of showing wrestling techniques, once or twice a week. I'd love to do that, whether it's, obviously I want to stay away from like cooking videos and, but I'd like to make sure that this is kind of like a sport type video or a sport type station or channel. And that was kind of my idea on the Weighing In when he had brought to me Weighing In. I said, yeah, it'd be great because now we can have all sorts of things that people want to talk about, singing or golf or whatever it is, you could Weighing In golf or Weighing In wrestling or Weighing In jiu-jitsu, people that have aspirations to start their own channel. I'd like to go ahead and feature that on here. And that's kind of what the idea was, is to give other people a chance and opportunity to start a channel for themselves or be part of our channel and then eventually grow that into starting their own channel, knowing that they're not going to stay here forever. But the one thing that the reason why I got that kind of was on my mind is there's a lot of guys that I think that in the podcast industry, and Joe being one of them, is he's helped build other people's channels. He's helped build other people's careers. And the one thing I've always wanted to do is give back. And I've always been that way. Whether it was, me going to visit the juvenile hall centers, and helping the kids there, or working with young athletes, to help train them for their sports coming up. This is an opportunity now that we've built such a great channel, a lot thankfully to John and Dave as well, is just to try and give back to other people that would like to start a channel and maybe grow one and eventually leave ours and go start their own and just say, hey, follow them there. That's kind of my idea of why we went with that name. What do you think, John?
I think you guys are the ones that came up with the name, and I said, man, I like that. That was about my contribution to it, so I have nothing to say about you guys are the ones that came up with it, and I thought it was actually good for the show.
Well, I think also too, your daughter, she has a very successful what's it called, where they handyman type stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like little things like a little home tips where they film a video showing like home tips. I can go on YouTube and find out how I fix a pipe, at home. There was a mother that I believe her husband had passed, I think her husband had passed. And she ended up having to move out of the house that they were in because she couldn't afford it. And so all she had money was left over. She built a house from YouTube videos because that's all she could afford. She couldn't afford to hire contractors and other things. Some people that she could afford, she would have them come in, things that she couldn't do. she'd have them come in and do. But the rest of it, framing the house, doing the roof shingles, all that stuff, she did herself by watching YouTube videos. And so it's very inspirational, like, to think that someone could have a channel like with your daughter having a fix-it video, you know, like some fix-it videos or home fix-it videos, things like that. That's just been my aspiration to do it. Maybe we start another channel that does that as well. I don't know, because we're doing very well with this. I don't want to bug people with all a bunch of other stuff. But I figure if we can find something that's very related to the sport, whether it's jiu-jitsu people, you know, that want to feature their jiu-jitsu techniques on our channel, you know, or wrestling or boxing techniques or kickboxing techniques, something that goes along with our platform, I would really love to feature that as well. So that's a big reason why we went with the name weighing in.
Don't worry, when my next great idea comes up, I'll make sure I text you.
Yeah, we'll be waiting for a couple of more years.
All right, guys. Well, hey, I want to thank you guys for joining the show. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We were a little long-winded tonight. I especially was a little long-winded in that last question, by the way. John's shaking his head. Yep. But I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Go to prowrestlingtees.com/weighing in. And what's our promo code?
Promo code is and still.
And still. Thank you very much.
Guys, you got to go directly there. Go and still. At anytime you guys see Ariel or DC or any of those guys post anything on Twitter, you need to go right to their comment section and put weighing in and still tag us.
And you could tell them that they're good. You can say, hey, man, you guys are really good, but you're never going to make it up to that championship level because weighing in is and still.
I mean, I don't know. I don't see anyone in the foreground that's coming up on us. You know, no one. I mean, we're pretty much to the top.
And if anyone's creative out there and wants to send an and still t-shirt graphic,
Ooh,
on Instagram, and we might feature it on the t-shirt page.
Yeah, we're looking to make that as a t-shirt, you know, and so we can make that. If you guys want to send us over a t-shirt graphic for and still, that'd be amazing, and we would like.
We do have a Cinco de Mayo weighing in shirt coming up, right?
It releases today.
Ooh, look at that.
There it is.
Cinco de Mayo.
We will have a Memorial Day weekend and one as well, one as well, which will come out in May. So that's going to be awesome. We're going to try to do these limited edition shirts for you guys. And, you know, and so if you guys don't pick them up like that week or those 2 weeks before, then they will be gone forever. You'll never see them again, you know. But hey, so check it out. It will be and still is the promo code, prowrestlingtees.com/weighing in.
Oh.
Also, hit the thumbs up and the little bell off to the bottom right corner. That helps gives you notifications because we are dropping our midweek shows, this show, at different times. And so we want to make sure you guys get notified. You can just tune right in and leave those comments. So make sure you guys hit that thing that says first, right? You just type in first and that'll let you know if you were first to put the comments in. But I like to mess with you guys in the comments. I do read your guys' comments. That's why we had one of them tonight on the show. I wanted to let you guys know. John, thanks for the big comment. It was very fun. A lot of likes out of it. Had a great time, man. John, you got anything else, bud?
Yeah, last thing, April 9th, Bellator is on Showtime. Get your Showtime and watch some great fights. Support MMA as a whole. And in the end, we will see you.